Hi, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sunday's match. Really interesting match this weekend on the Stainforth and Keighley Canal. We fish a teams of three series on the Stainforth and Keighley Canal, and the best thing about this match is because it's done on weight all the way through, teams of three, 8 rounds. That means technically you've got 24 people's matches to contribute to your weight. So it's not all about one match. If one match you have a massive weight, obviously that helps, but over the course of the series, for me, the team that has sort of consistently fished well and performed well will be winning. And they've got it right at the right times. And the team that's leading at the moment is a Barnsley team. It's not my team. James Dent, Andy Geldart and Dave Brooks, they've fished really well throughout. They've been in the right areas and done the right things at the right times. And they are well ahead, and they deserve to be. They've really have performed well. 3 rounds left to go before the weekend. This was round 6. Sensors North were in second, and my team, which is myself, Tom Scully and Matt Godfrey, we're in third. So there's a lot of other good teams behind us with a lot of other good anglers, so hopefully we can stay ahead of them, but we were looking to catch the team in second. In a weight league, I like to try and fish for, as I know it's going to sound obvious when I say as much weight as possible, but I don't just go all out to win the match, because obviously I could come back with very little to show for my effort. So I always try and scrape a few fish and keep trying putting a few fish together whenever I can. So if I think I'm not in such a good area, I'll just concentrate on catching fish. Well, that's what happened this weekend. I was on 194, not a very good area at all, to be honest. I had Dave Brooks from the leading team next to me and Cameron Hughes from Starlets on my right. We're ahead of their team, so I want to stay ahead of them. But I knew we're not really going to catch Dave up, but it'd be nice to beat him. So it was in a good match. Basically, in that area, because I knew it was going to be quite poor, I just had a bloodworm approach in my head. I looked for the bottom of that far shelf, the bottom of the near shelf. I spoke about that last week, and also around my keep net, and there was some weed down the edge, excuse me, where I felt I could catch a few perch in that. So what I was looking to do, I tell you, all this cold weather's giving me a terrible cold. Anyway, what I was looking to do was catch those perch down the edge, then go onto those 2 bloodworm lines and keep trying to catch a few fish. So what I was thinking was, I don't want to go crazy with the bait at the start. If it's going to be hard fishing, I can always add some bait as I go. So I put 150mm in on my lines, and I put a little bit of joke around my net. I had the 0.6 PT6 floats that I've been fishing week in, week out. I also had some grams set up in case it was flowing, and off we went. I always time myself, see how long it takes me to catch around 20 perch. I found that 20 perch is almost like the optimum number of fish that you may find round about your keep net. And this week it was fantastic. I caught 20 perch in around 11 minutes, which I was really pleased with. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try and catch a few more. And it took me another 3 or 4 minutes to catch another 1 or 2. So I thought, well, I probably caught those perch that around by my net and by the weed. So I'll go on my main lines and hopefully catch a few roach. Cameron had gone out on his 2 or 3 minutes before, and he caught a roach straight away. And I thought, oh, right, there's obviously going to be a few there. Unfortunately, there wasn't. Even with single joker, double joker, I couldn't find any roach. I just kept catching an odd perch. Dave Brooks to my left was exactly the same. He couldn't catch any roach either. Cameron could catch a few, but not as many as I'd expect for someone like him. He's a fantastic angler. So there obviously wasn't many in this little area where we were. Past us, through the reeds, they were all catching a few silverfish. Up to the marina mouth, they were all catching a few silverfish. So it really did look like we'd drawn in a poor area. That can happen on the canal every now and again. There are poor little areas. Not many at all. I tend to find I'm in them once a year, maybe twice a year. People are probably moaning now because they're in them like 4 or 5 times a year. But over the course of 15 matches, 1 or 2 times you're going to be in a poor area, maybe a few more if you're really unlucky, but generally speaking the fishing is quite well distributed. So I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't catching, but I started to catch a few roach later on. I was behind Cameron. He'd been catching a few roach earlier than me. He'd had a good run in the middle. I was ahead of Dave. I mean, me and Dave were really struggling, but I managed to get ahead of him. And then further up, I thought, well, they are catching, but hopefully I've caught those perch. Maybe I can rescue something. As the match went on, I thought, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to weigh here. Do I go for it? I did try, put a little bit more bait in. It didn't really work. Dave had been trying hemp. That hadn't worked. Cameron had kept catching. And at the end, I thought, well, I've probably got, I don't know, something like £8. And I was a little bit disappointed when I weighed 7.15. I think probably £4 or £5 of that weight was perch, which you catch a lot of perch and they don't quite weigh the same like roach do. So I think that I was disappointed, but my 7.15 was actually enough for second in the section behind Cameron. He's had £9. I managed to beat Dave. Dave was in the next section. I was pleased to beat Dave, but he's got the last laugh because they're winning the league. But you know, we had a good day's fishing. One thing that I do want to mention is my rigs. For those who are interested, obviously I've shown you the floats before, but I always make the rigs up on Powerline, 010 or Reflow Power 010, and I find that, I know that some people think, well, if you're fishing 07, 08 hook lengths, maybe do you always want 010? Well, yeah, I do. I mean, 010 Reflow Power is very strong. We all know that it's, you know, for the breaking strains that we're showing here, it is very, very good line. So I make it up in there. If I move some shot around on the line, I know it'll still be the hook length that goes. The other thing I want to mention is how I shot the rig. So I shot them with a bulk and 2 droppers, but more importantly, it's how I do the bristle. I see too many people when they're fishing, right, they will have shown bristles like this. Now, many of you thinking to yourself, well, that looks fine. You know, that looks to me like, you know, it's shotted nicely. Well, on Sunday, I was fishing with the bristle more like that. So there was hardly any bristle showing, and the bites are very delicate. You get little indications like that, and that is fish picking and feeding on your bait. If you've got this sort of amount of bristle showing, you're going to get a lot of this before you actually get a proper bite. And in the winter, when the fish are feeding, they tend to feed without moving too much. So when they're on the bottom, they'll be eating your bait, and then probably eat your bait and then spit your bait out without you knowing, unless you've got your float shotted carefully. So I do use some Sensus half styles to get that dead right. Some like number 14s or 13s. Even a number 13 can almost do the whole bristle on those floats. So I like to sometimes use the 14s just to trim it up nice. So if you're looking at fishing, even with any type of fishing, you must be prepared to dot your floats down or have very, very little float showing. See it on way too many people, have too much bristle showing when they're fishing, and it really, really does make a difference to what you catch. So, anyway, overall in the league, we ended up, Matt and Tom had good days. They both Matt had £10, Tom just short of £10. Both did very well. We came second on the day as a team. Sensus North had a great day though. John Freeborn had £13. He was second in the match. Andy Geldart won the match with 13-1 to keep the team in the lead well ahead. They're now on £225 now, the Barnsley team, with Sensus North on 205 and ourselves on 198. So it's all to play for. There's loads of other teams right behind us. 2 rounds to go. Anything can happen. I'm just hoping for a couple of good draws last 2 rounds. If we can get in the top 3 teams, I'll be really pleased with that. So I'll blog on my matches next week, because again next week is a 2-day festival, Hayfield and the Steynie. It's dominating my fishing at the moment, but there's always something to learn, and I'll come back next week with what's happened. Catch you then.